Hello guys, so we have made it to Graz. It's about an hour's drive away from where we're staying. So we're only spending one day here, so we're going to try and see some of the top things to do in just one day. So first up we're going to the K&O department store, and they're meant to have one of the best lookouts here in Graz. And fun fact for you guys, Graz is the second largest city in Austria, and it has a population of more than 300,000 inhabitants, in which 62,000 of those are students from 4 universities. We started our day off walking through the bustling streets of Graz, which is where we witnessed the hustle and bustle of the Saturday city life. Not long into our walk and we began to experience some rain. Unfortunately, we were not dressed for this weather, so lucky our first stop was indoors. They have really small escalators here. Made it to the lookout. It was really confusing because in the department store we went up some elevators, as you saw before, and then you have to like cross over and then go up more elevators. But anyway, so we think this is the lookout. It was right next to the cafe. So Graz is actually an UNESCO heritage site, and in 2003 they were voted Europe's capital of culture, and in 2011 they were voted the city of design. So as you can see, this is the Kunsthaus behind us, and then over here you can see there's a lot of old architecture. It really is a city where old meets with the new. And you can see down here there's so many bikes. Like, we've noticed that a lot of the locals here just ride bikes around town. It's a very bike friendly city. This place is so massive, like it didn't look this big from the outside. We've been in here for probably about 20 minutes and we're so lost right now. At this point in time we had a funny feeling that we found the wrong lookout, and just as we were making our way out of the store I noticed the lift that leads to the top of the building towards a cafe. And this is where we found an even better view of the city. So it turns out before we were actually at the wrong lookout, and this is the correct lookout. So if you get lost like me, you'll eventually find your way, but it's on level 6 of the K&O building. We were so happy to have found this lookout because of the wonderful terracotta coloured rooftop views. This was definitely a great first impression to have of Graz. So we have just left the K&O department store, and that was really cool. I'm so glad that we're visiting there in November as well, because they have all of the Christmas decorations up. So it's just really pretty to see, and it warms my heart to see Christmas decorations. Anyway, so now we're going to the Castle of Graz, which has the Stairs of Reconciliation, and it's meant to have 2 staircases that intertwine together, and it's a must-see in Graz, so we're gonna go check that out. So I read about this place online. It's called the Edegger Tax building, and it's a bakery, but it closed at 12, so we missed out, unfortunately. But if you get the chance to come to Graz, I would highly recommend coming here. So we've just made it to the double spiral staircase, and this is the Castle of Graz, but in Austrian they call it the Berg or Berg. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's called the Berg. Whoa. The camera could capture this, but it's quite a tight space. So this is where the staircases meet. So we made it to the top. There's a little window here. Ooh, wow, well, that's a nice view. So these staircases were actually built in the 15th century. So next we are going to another viewpoint here in Graz, and it's called the Schlossberg. So there's actually 3 ways to go up the Schlossberg. You can either go up with the funicular, which costs like €1 or 2, and then you can go up by walking, which is what we're gonna do. So there's 280 steps to the top. You can go down the Schlossberg. They have a gigantic indoor slide which takes 40 seconds to go down.
Largest indoor slide in the world.
Yeah, it's the largest indoor slide in the world apparently. Are you gonna try it out?
Of course.
Sounds so confident. So this is the staircase that we're about to walk up, and that's the clock tower at the top of the Schlossberg. So here we go, 260 stairs to the top. So just a little pit stop on our way to the top. And fact for you guys, these steps were actually built by the Austrian and Russian prisoners at the time. The walk was actually not that hard to get to the top. It only probably took us like 10 minutes to walk up here, but we were kind of fast paced. So Schlossberg is also known as the Castle Hill because there used to be a castle on this hill. And at the top of the hill you'll also find the Chinese pavilion, otherwise known as the Bishop's Throne. Way over in the distance we can see snow on top of the mountains. We spent some time walking around the castle hill and found some interesting passageways. Unfortunately, we didn't take the slide down, but instead enjoyed a very scenic walk back to the bottom where we headed for the Murinsel. If you're into modern architecture, then visiting the Murinsel is a must. It is an artificial steel island boat that sits in the middle of the Mur River, conveniently connecting both sides of the city with 2 footbridges. There's also a casual cafe bar inside and an amphitheatre for performances. Since it acts as a bridge, you'll see lots of people passing through. I highly recommend visiting at night time to see the Murinsel lit up. We then took a stroll along the other side of the river, observing the friendly alien otherwise known as the Kunsthaus. I must admit, it's way cooler to look at from above. Close up really doesn't do it justice. The Kunsthaus was built to celebrate Graz being the European Capital of Culture in 2003 and has since become an architectural landmark. It's also an art museum, so if this tickles your fancy, it's $10 entrance fee. And like many cities in Europe, there is a lovelock bridge named Hauptbrüke. From here you can see the Murinsel in all of its glory and take a peek at some of the many padlocks dedicated to their lovers. After roaming the streets of Graz all day, we couldn't resist the street food stalls in Hauptplatz, which is the main square in Graz. So we've just stopped for a quick lunch break here at this street food stall called Otis. So they serve like traditional Austrian sausages, and we ordered the Käsekrainer sausage. So it's a sausage with cheese inside, and she's chopped it all up and the cheese is just oozing out of it. And then on the side here we've got some tomato sauce and mustard. So I'm really excited to dig into this because it's cold, so I want something to warm me up. So here we go.
And what did I get, babe?
Oh yeah, and Carlos, he got, so that was really good. That's so good. I love cheese sausages. Carlos got the same sausage as me. It's a Käsekrainer sausage, and he got it as a hot dog. So I think at this place they sell it as a hot dog and the sausage with bread, or you can get it with chips. And my one come with a fresh bread roll. So yeah, we're really excited to dig into this. So we just finished eating our sausages here at Otis and they were so good. So if you're coming to Graz, definitely come here. It's in the center of everything. So it's right across from this building, and there's a lot of food shops around here too, so definitely check it out if you're in Graz. So we're just walking through the streets of Graz now, and one thing we've noticed here is that all of the attractions are in a close walking distance within each other, so it's really nice if you're just coming here for the day. I'd been researching Graz quite some time before we arrived, and there were a few attractions we didn't get time to see. So just to name a few, there's the farmers markets are a must-see here, so make sure to check out Kaiser Joseph Platz and the one at Lendplatz. They are both open from Monday to Saturday from 6 AM till 1 PM. And don't forget to try some pumpkin seed oil, it's sourced directly from the farmer. The Cathedral of Graz. It's worth visiting this ornately decorated Baroque cathedral with plenty of gold decoration from the 17th and 18th centuries. The Armoury of Graz can be seen at the Armoury Museum with shelf upon shelf and rack upon rack of armour and old weaponry. I'd also really have loved to visit the Eggenberg Palace. This Baroque palace complex is surrounded by beautiful gardens and peacocks running on the free grounds. And of course, the food is definitely a big part of Graz, with endless delightful cafes and restaurants for you to explore. If there are any places I missed out, please feel free to leave them in the comments below for other travellers to see. And to continue watching, you can click on my playlist above.